Bueno, humanity, I love you all with all my heart, with all my mind. Today's live will be in English. I think I wanna do it this way. I'm going to do my lives in English because I noticed I did my first live yesterday. And what is the meaning of this? Well, the meaning of this is that I never done it before and I didn't know what that was. And I was just touching buttons really and figuring it out in the fly. But now I know that it gives you after you get the insights, the analytics. So I realized that the great majority of my audience were all English speakers for the most part. So I realized that I did the whole thing in Spanish, thinking that the whole thing, just because I was speaking in Spanish, it would tailor to a Spanish speaking community or geography or demographic or whatever. But it seems not to be the case because of the way my traffic works. I was checking. So I'll do live uh, videos in English, and eventually, as I develop my channel and all that, I will do them in Spanish as well. Okay, so the name of this live is Spherical Mothership Planet Earth. So this is something that I haven't really spoken about in English yet. I have spoken about it at length in Spanish because I do content in both languages. So, so let's talk about spherical mothership planet Earth and what that means. So, essentially, what this really means is that our planet, I think I have spoken about this in English actually, but not as such per se, like a full topic on the uh, the capabilities of our spaceship, our mothership, planet Earth, the type of things that we can do with it, and its functionality, and how advanced it is, because it's the most advanced technology in everything that there is and will always be. Because we humans are the most advanced species, because we're the most ancient. Why? Because we come from the first universe. And we are the species that first evolved into infinity in the first universe of creation. So we were the first time that a biological species could become one with the creator. We became the consciousness and the self-awareness of the creator itself. And who's the creator? Were infinity itself. And who's infinity? Well, spherical energy. And who's spherical energy? Love. Love, infinite energy, infinite creation, which is the singularity at the epicenter of infinity. And infinity is an infinite number of universes on the electromagnetic field of infinity itself. Each universe is a node. And we're the consciousness and self-awareness of that as a species, the human race. So this is a species that we are. So we're a remarkable species. We're an incredible species. And how is it that we are this? Well, because we evolve into infinity in the universe that we come from, an infinite number of cycles ago. And who am I and what do I represent? Well, I represent us, humanity. I'm Sol Ra Ray. I'm a messenger of the Republic of Planet Earth. This is who I am. And what's my role? Well, I happen to be the person that was the project manager, the project lead, the project engineer, the lead engineer, the the chief engineer when we manufacture planet Earth. Because we manufacture planet Earth. Planet Earth is not a rocky planet. It's a planet that we created ourselves. I have spoken about this in the channel per se, but I haven't spoken about the capabilities of our planet per se, and the bridge and what we can do with it, and where the bridge is located, and all these type of things. So essentially, if you understand this, what happened in my previous life, I was a lead engineer. I was a human that had the idea. So this is how ancient we are. That an infinite number of cycles ago, in a different universe, I, as the way I look, existed, and I was the lead engineer of this planet, which is a creator of universes. And I'm going to explain how is it that this works. So we came from originally from that universe in a rocky planet that wasn't um, the closest proximity that it was the closest naturally formed planet. By that I mean that the creator, spherical energy, the central sun of the universe where we come from, the first universe, created us. And as a creator, what he does is just he creates, and he creates all the conditions for energy to move around and light, and then planets form as a result of that after a cycle. And rocky planets are where we formed as a biology, as a life form. So essentially, when we first form, we form in a planet that wasn't created by us, that was created by the energy from the central sun, the creator of the universe. And we were the closest planet, rocky planet, that could sustain biological life form like us, intelligent and conscious and self-aware. At the closest proximity to the central sun of everything in the epicenter of that universe. So we were the closest to light. So we evolved into infinity by becoming the image of the creator, meaning our electromagnetic field became one with the creator. That's why we have spherical energy and our hearts are the way they are, because of the singularity that is the human heart. So the singularity of the human heart is the equivalent of the singularity of the universe as a creator. So we evolve into the consciousness of awareness of that. And what ended up happening was very simple. So we evolved in a rocky planet, but we became, because we were so close to everything, we were first before anyone else. And then we had a competitive advantage. So we evolved into infinity ourselves. But the way we did that, it was in stages. So the way we started it was uh, we started to understand what the creator was spherical energy. So we started to create spherical technology, and this would be singularity devices that would harness the energy of the central sun. And with that, we would create all sorts of things. We would have spherical spaceships that would allow us to move us anywhere in the universe immediately, because we would read the telemetry of the central sun with our gadgets, with our devices, and know the vectors, the quadrants, the sectors, the coordinates, the locations, and we would manifest there with our spaceships. And because we would cancel out the gravity around us, because it's a sphere and we have electrogravitics because of the singularity and the electromagnetic field that generates that singularity, that gets created as a result of the singularity and all that. Because of that energy, we would use that energy in a way of electrogravity. So we cancel out the gravity around us, and we use that energy that gets canceled out. So the tension on the surface of the sphere of the electromagnetic field, that gravity gets canceled out. And when you release the gravity, you still use the byproduct is the energy, electrical energy, electricity, and you use that energy as very high input, and it's infinite. So you can use that for all sorts. So then that's what we would do. So when we manifest there with the telemetry and the readings, because we have the energy to just manifest there using quantum entanglement principles, because we essentially build the filament, and we would just manifest there immediately. When we manifest there no time would pass. It would be an immediate event, life state, and there would be no gravitational effects on arrival. Why? Because we cancel out the gravity around us, so there's no effect. So we just manifest there, and it's just, and we would do that, and we would just move around everywhere. And because we're at the epicenter, the very center of the universe, because we are in the closest proximity to the central sun, we would just move faster because it's closer to everywhere. And we created a civilization around that. And then eventually we became the assistants of the central sun. And by that, we would, because light moves at a rate from the central sun as it gets released, but we became faster than light because we were reading the telemetry of the entire electromagnetic field of the universe, right? And because that's exactly what we were doing, and because that is exactly what we were doing, what ended up happening was that we could travel faster than light by manifesting before light gets there. So by doing that, what we ended up doing is charging our devices, and we will manifest in a vector in the space structure of the electromagnetic field of the universe. And we would go where we would manifest, where we would find a spherical vacuum threshold, a bubble of a vacuum bubble that is spherical and meets the threshold of the size of a galaxy. But it's a bubble that is there, but doesn't have the energy yet because the light hasn't arrived there yet. So we would manifest there because of the electrogravitics differential, meaning because of the gradient pressure. So it's different in temperature. So that difference in temperature creates bubbles, just like in the atmosphere. So what we would do, we just show up there. In that point, because we could identify that because there's a signal to a spherical vacuum threshold of sizes, and you can read that signal with telemetry, and you will know the specific location. So you just manifest there. And what we would do, we would manifest there, and we just inject that energy. We release that energy from the singularity device in our spaceships, and we would just cover that bubble with energy, and it starts to move, and then it creates a singularity by releasing that into a vortex, and that is the singularity of a central sun of a galaxy. And that's how galaxies are formed. So we became galaxy creators. We became an incredible species, but still contained within that universe, our first universe where we come from. So essentially, we did that for an infinite number of cycles, and we became the masters of that universe because we were the first one to be able to do such things. So essentially, after a while, what ended up happening was that um, we ourselves decided that we wanted to exit the universe because we were contained within it. We wanted to go beyond, and that was the time when I was alive. So when I was alive, then um, our species was just in that quest, and I was just born at the right time, and I became like a central figure in this whole enterprise of creating the planet, this planet. Why? Because I was a very prominent member of the society. I was what is considered to be known as a super genius. For a species of creators of galaxies, this is like an extremely intelligent human. So I was born. And then my whole life was just a series of events in which I would just intuitively have notions and ideas that were essentially confirming facts that our civilization, being the most ancient, didn't even realize. So they started to give me a very specific role, and I would essentially just like say something, and then everyone would verify it and confirm it with science and spherical technology of all sorts, and things were checking out, and they were just finding out things that they wouldn't even imagine. Because my idea was like, look, we're creating galaxies, but we want to exit the universe, right? So why don't we just create universes instead? And they said, no, that is not possible. And I said, well, there is a way, because we just have to evolve further and understand who we are further. So the way we do that is biologically. So when we do that, we become smarter. And if we become smarter, we would understand how the universe works. Because if we can create galaxies, that means that there is an energy outside the universe creating this universe that created us in the first place. So we need to understand what that energy is, because that energy created us in the first place, which is what feeds the central sun and the electromagnetic field. And everyone kind of say, yes, okay. So, and then say, well, what do we do? So we got the limitation that in this universe, the creator of this universe, the central sun, cannot create planets any closer to the central sun itself. Why? Because they disintegrate and they cannot host our life form because it doesn't have an atmosphere. So what we're gonna do, instead of be wasting all this energy creating a galaxy that we have created an infinite number of within this universe, what we're gonna do is use all that energy and create a planet. And this planet can sustain our energy density at the closest proximity possible with our technologies to the central sun, and orbit that so we can actually have the perfect environment closer to any rocky planet, and there we can evolve to infinity. And how are we going to evolve to infinity? Well, the way we're going to go to evolve to infinity is by designing a spaceship that works as a retina, the atmosphere. So the sun energy can come within, and then we can stare at it and with our eyes and absorb it. Why? Because light and creation is that energy, and the way we observe light is through our eyes. So if we evolve our eyes, then we can get that energy through our iris and our bodies, and then we can just become bigger biology by supercharging our DNA. So that's what I said to the society at the time. And then I said, look, the way we go about it is by creating this spaceship that allows us to do so. So we can create a spaceship that allows us to stare at the sun and evolve to infinity ourselves. But we're not just going to do that, because the idea is to create a spaceship that allows us to evolve to infinity. But the spaceship itself is not just going to be a spaceship that allows us to evolve into infinity, but the spaceship itself is what the mechanism that we're going to use to exit the universe with the energy that we're going to be able to absorb once we understand further when we evolve, and we can charge the device so we can exit the electromagnetic field of the universe with the planet itself, because it's a mothership, it's a spaceship. And now that aging, that retina is not only absorbing the energy so we can stare at it, but it's also the planet itself is absorbing all that energy. So it charges us. And the core, we have this singularity engine. This is a device, it's a spherical singularity that powers us. It represents around 10% of the volume of the planet, because this is a spaceship planet and it's made of pure diamond. So that is our engine per se of this spaceship, this mothership. And then I said we're going to be able to charge that with the energy of the central sun as we evolve. And eventually, once we all evolve and we're ready, we're going to be able to use the energy that's been already charged, and then with the new understandings, be able to exit this universe. And then that will be our device to go to whatever is outside, and then do whatever we can do because it's charged. So if we find spherical vacuum thresholds that are in the space structure of infinity itself, which was our hypothesis at the time, that there's an infinite number of universes and we just have to go to the space structure of infinity. Fine, we then can read the telemetry of that and use that energy and release it in those bubbles and then create universes. Because we're galaxy creators, so let's create universes now after we evolve. And there was like a revolutionary idea, because then it made sense, and then we found a way that we could actually make it happen. So I became the central figure in the creation of this planet, which was the first planet that we created. This was the first planet that we created, planet Earth. And at the time when we created it, it used to look like this. So what is known as Antarctica today, that is at the bottom, what we call the South Pole, at the time, there was no such thing as ice caps because there was no moon. The moon is not something that we created ourselves. We create this, and this creates universes. So essentially, the planet used to look like this. This is how it used to look. Like this. Like that. So we would have right here, we would have our central island, and then we would have all the landmass around it, and it would move like this as an equatorial weather. And the bottom was the Pacific, where there is nothing, it's just water. Why? Because in that way, all the pressures and all the clouds will go down there. And there will be, we could stare at the sun all day long. And then because it's a spaceship, we can move it, and we don't have a fixed angle or axis that keeps us fixed in an orientation in which is a rotation that gives you like east west stuff and stuff like that, because that's all because of the moon. But without the moon, we just can't get, it's a spaceship, we can move it. It's a mothership, really, spherical mothership, planet Earth. So we can just move these around, you see, everywhere we want to. So this is a planet that we created. And then at the top, so if we do it like that, right, if we do it the way it is, right, when we had it in the beginning, right, and then that means that at the top is the pyramids of Giza here, and that's at the top because Africa used to be at the top. Why? Because there will be the North Pole. There's no land down here, but at the top there's that point because it's the cap. And there, even though it's a nice weather, and at that point it's always day, the sun energy always hits there, and because it hits there, is always using that energy to generate an electromagnetic field that it was our defense grid that we would power with the energy from our central engine, our spherical device that was powering our mothership, planet Earth. And with that energy would just go through that beam, and we would have a device harnessing the energy at the core of the at this pyramid of Giza, at the heart of it, a spherical device collecting, harnessing the energy from the central sun that was coming down because it was capping off, because it's at the top is always day there. Because as the planet rotates like this, in any angle as we move it, if we want to, in any orbit, then Africa is always at the top. That specific point is always day. So we would have this device at the, because if you think of a pyramid, the pyramid is a square, and then you have all the sides, right? All the faces of it, and it gives it 5 in total, right? Because the tetrahedron will be 4, but this one has 5 because it has a. Why did we create it with a base of a square? Because the base is the square root. The square root. The root square, right? The square root, the root square of what? Well, pi, which is a sphere. and that's the prime mover. So we wanted to have the base of infinity itself, which is a vehicle, the planet, applied to a point right in the coming from the core of the planet where the motor is, and the light goes up, and then it hits that pyramid right there in that angle, and it generates that beam up there, and it generates the defense grid that would protect us against these moons, because we knew of the existence of these moons. So that was our defense grid against those that were created by not us, opposite forces. So then what is the meaning of that? So the meaning of that is that because we will have that, we can just move anywhere. All right. And our civilization was essentially this. And at night is beautiful because of the defense grid. When it's on, everything at night looks like an aurora in the whole planet, and everything is equatorial weather. The climate is very, very warm. It's very nice. There's no clouds, but it's very nice and breezy. It's beautiful. It's like paradise. The garden is all green. There is no deserts, because when you put it in the right angle, right, all the water goes to the bottom, and then we have internal cave systems, cavities that work as natural aquifers that were designed by us in that way. So when we do that, the water flows through there, through the different uh, va- the pressure differentials of the cavities because of the water and the pressure. And when that happens, the water goes up all over because it's a sphere. So it goes up and it stays at the top, and then it creates all sorts of aquifers, lakes, underground lakes, and all that. And that water is fresh because of the condensation inside the cave systems, because of the heat from the sun in the surface creating that condensation. And that condensation creates fresh water, and all the salt becomes all these different, you know, salt like all these things that are essentially part of all these that where salt comes from as a mineral, in the well of stalagmites, stalactites, and all sorts of things, right? That the water is just in the cavities, but the water is fresh, and that water filters up, right, like a bore, like an actual well. So you can break the pressure, and that water just goes up through all the different veins of the planet. So we have these aquifers, these water, underground water that creates these most incredible streams that are essentially rivers and lakes everywhere. And that's everywhere. So where you have deserts now in the planet, which is, those few five spots all over the planet where we got deserts, when that the water just comes from the underground, when it's in the right location, when it's in this location, when the Pacific is at the bottom and Africa is at the top, and the central island, what is known as Antarctica, is where it's supposed to be, right? There, there. It looks like, is the camera. Okay, it looks like that. Looks like that. And it moves like any angle with that. But the water stays at the bottom. So all that gets very green and beautiful and full of lakes, and it's just beautiful. So because they changed the whole thing with the moon, and then they created the cap. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna move that. We're gonna get rid of the moon. We're gonna turn the engine on. We're gonna turn the engine on. So we turn, because what happened? What happened? Why is it that there is a moon and all these things are happening? Why? Well, because we both we went to we created the planet in our first universe where we come from, and I was the leading engineer of that exercise, that project. And then we went to the central sun of our universe, which is not this universe. And there we charge it. We charge it while we were evolving to infinity. And then we ended up evolving to infinity. And when we did, we took our spaceship and we exited that universe. And then we started to create new universes. And we did that to infinity. So what we would do after a while, because it was the first model, it had to be recharged. So we started to, after a while, we would just go and park in a central sun of a universe of our own creation or an existing universe. The thing about existing universe is that there is life forms, and there could be civilizations already inhabiting the central sun of those universes. So that's why we would prefer to create a new universe and then inhabit a whole brand new universe of our own creation. And then we just park in the central sun and charge it, and then just hang out there in that universe that we just created. And we just move around and see how the universe forms. And because we know how to create galaxies, we can just have an entire fleet of spherical technologies just creating galaxies in that universe. for us, assisting us, because we are assisting the central sun by moving the energy faster. So we accelerate the process of creation of infinite number of galaxies with our technology that manifests immediately everywhere, that is being harnessing the energy of that central sun while we're charging our spaceship planet. So this is a species that we are. So what happened? Well, after an infinite number of cycles, we ourselves evolved to infinity. We ourselves evolved to infinity, meaning that we didn't need to be in this way anymore. We just biological soup of pure energy. We could just be anywhere, anytime, rather than relying on this level of density. So what ended up happening was very simple. So our legacy technology or spherical technology we left behind. So we left it behind as legacy for life forms that were less evolved than us, that life forms that haven't evolved into infinity, that were biological in origin. And a lot of those life forms were life forms that were created as a result of the universes that we created. And what is the meaning of that? Well, the meaning of that is that there's a lot of life forms right now that exist that were created by the light that we created, meaning the energy that we harnessed and that we released with our planet, spaceship, mothership, in that spherical vacuum transmission, and created a central sun of a universe. And the energy out of that universe that created all those galaxies created life forms that eventually led into the civilizations that created the moon that is outside this planet right now, and everything that comes with it. So, okay. So that's what we did. So we evolved into that level. So all these life forms created. And then it's only that because we didn't only create universes, we created galaxies within the universe, assisting that universe. And on top of that, we would also create galaxies in our first original universe. And we left all sorts of trails. So if you evolve into a level of consciousness that allows you to exit a universe, then you could follow our light trail of everything that we've done as creators of everything, biologically speaking, because we became the first biological species in existence in infinity to be able to create universes. And the way we did that is with spherical mothership planets. And the first one was known as this one that we see here, planet Earth. That is known now the Republic of Planet Earth. So what happened? So we ended up coming to this universe that we created. We created this universe. So we came to this universe and we created it with this. And then, but at that time, we kind of realized that we have done so much. We're just gonna park this spaceship here and evolve and leave it charge. But at the time, we already had an infinite fleet of each. So okay, so we already had an infinite fleet of them by that time. This was the first one, the one I designed. But after that, the technology improved, and then each of us had its own. Because of our energy density, we could operate these ones at gravity zero. So because we're pure light, we just move at the speed of light with or faster within the spaceship. So it became like the house of one member of our species. Because we would just go anywhere we wanted. And whatever, and they can come and visit us or whatever. Other members of our civilization and all that. So we became that, like true, like the masters of everything there is. But at that level, we were already extremely evolved. Like we were so ahead of everyone else. So we just evolved into infinity, and we just started to we became ourselves, like just the energy of the singularity of love ourselves, and the other things, central suns ourselves. We started to do other things, much higher energy, and evolve into like beyond the body and all that, and became the consciousness and self-awareness, love itself, eternity ourselves. This is who we become. So essentially, but when we did that, that eventually mean we all just we went and evolved, and we left this as a legacy in this universe. But this universe happens to be where this one is part where we all are here, happens to be the first one that we ever created that is in this universe. Okay. And remember, the first one, I was a leading engineer, meaning that it's a leading engineer that commands it. And our bridge is here in what is known as Antarctica. That's where our bridge is. So I was born again, so I can actually pilot this. I can command this with my thoughts and consciousness because I got the DNA. So, because this is the species that we are. So, I want to tell you the story now where I'm headed. So, what is all this? Well, it happens to be the case that I shouldn't be here because I evolved into infinity and I left this, our species left this as a legacy to other species that would eventually evolve into infinity. But we left it because we knew of the existence of these moons. So, what we wanted is that whoever came that didn't have our technologies would eventually decide to do as we did and evolve into infinity. But the only way for them to evolve into infinity and become creators of universes and all the things that we have become as a species was for them to learn. And for them to learn, they needed to have DNA, human DNA, essentially. They needed to have human DNA, human DNA, human DNA, okay? Human DNA. And what is that they needed to have human DNA? Because of the density structure of our planet, because it contains all DNA is embedded in it. So the way we do things is we command a spherical spaceship with our thoughts and consciousness rather than having to ourselves having to do the manual labor. So it does itself, but it's interfaced with our DNA. So that's how it recognizes who you are and it does it. So in that way, it's super efficient. So we can do all sorts of things. So what that allowed us to do is that obviously this is a spaceship planet, a mothership. So I have the DNA to command it because I was the one that created it. I was just born again. But how is it that I was born again when I already evolved into infinity? It's because when it was the first one that we left in this universe. So what others wanted to do is just if they became human, they will be able to come to the planet and evolve themselves to infinity. But they would only be able to use the technology and create universes once they evolve to infinity so they can love and the DNA will be active so they can actually do things with it. Otherwise, they will never be able to do things with it. They would just be there for an infinite number of cycles because the technologies are so advanced that you cannot destroy this planet because it's not a planet. So it's a mothership. So it's a creator of universes. And no one in this universe has the technology to even turn this on because they're not human. So what ended up happening was that when we evolve into infinity in our central city, we left oral DNA as our legacy. But what they ended up doing when they showed up here and they couldn't interact, they couldn't do anything. So they had clones. And those clones were human looking, so they could interface with the density of it, which is what we wanted because we wanted them to go into the planet and eventually learn to evolve into infinity. So they can continue their process of evolution because their life forms at that time, their biology couldn't sustain the consciousness of infinity because of the nature. So they needed to evolve, meaning have bigger hearts and better eyes and things like that. Okay. Didn't have to necessarily be human in the way they looked, but if they wanted to evolve into infinity. But if you use our technology, you would have to become human because our technology is human DNA. And for that, you need to evolve to infinity, which is using your eyes and loving. And they didn't want to do that. So what they ended up doing is using our samples. They ended up taking our samples that we left there and they realized that I had the sample of the one that was able to command the ship, right? The mothership. So what is the meaning of that? So, well, what they decided to do is that, well, what we're gonna do is that these people is not here anymore, but the samples are here. So, what we're gonna do is use these samples and grow them, and then we're gonna bring our technology. It's not as sophisticated, but we can change the whole layout of the planet, the landscape. We put their capital city, island at the bottom, so it's packed with ice. We create the conditions for that. So they don't even know that they can go there. It's cold. No one's going to know. And they're going to be primitive. We're just going to lie to them and tell them we're the creators. And come up with all these narratives and all these things to control them because they're super creative. So they're going to give us all this tech and eventually we're going to reverse engineer the whole lot. That's the logic behind it. But they decided to create a whole culture since they showed up, right? And the whole culture was about, okay, but this is the thing. What we really want is to create universes of our own and be what they are, but we don't want to be them. So we're going to find a way to do it without being them. So we're going to crack like the game, crack the code or whatever. Impossible. But that's the logic. So they ended up saying, and because this fella here is the one that has the codes, the one that opens the whole lot, because he has the DNA that commands this thing that we want, what we want, because it's off. The thing is off. gravity zero, all the engines are off, the phase grid is off. We just left it there because we didn't need it. We evolved into infinity. It was our first one anyway. We had an infinite number of them. We just left it in this universe where we knew the moons were, so we wanted to give them a chance for them to evolve. So we left it. But it happened to be the one that I created, the first one. So then what ended up happening? Well, they grew all our samples. We were like a few hundred millions at the time. We weren't that many. So, but we were like the infinite general creators of everything there was. That's the number that we needed just to become that species. The consciousness of awareness of infinity itself, love itself. So what ended up happening was that they just grew our samples and they just had these versions of us based on our DNA, but we didn't know anything because they changed everything. They changed the face of it. We didn't know anything about our culture because we didn't know who we were. We were just told these things, right? When you were growing up, and that's the culture that they created because because they had my sample. So what they wanted to do is let's grow as many of them as we can, and then in the end, we're gonna grow the fella that is like the central figure of this because he's the creator of the planet, right? The one that had all the permissions. So to run the whole thing. So, and then in that way, we're gonna have a super genius. They didn't know who I was in my first life. They didn't know anything about me, but they knew I had all the permissions because it was something that, because it's our culture, they have some way to know who we were to some level, and they ended up understanding with their own technologies that I was like the central figure. So what ended up happening was that of not of a civilization, but of this planet, because it was my planet. But what they didn't know is that we had an infinite number of planets already by then. It was just the first one, the oldest tech, the first one, because I was the first one to do it. So that's it. So that's the only thing. So what ended up happening was that as a result of all these, right? As a result of all these, they kept my sample till the end, till the very end, so they can grow enough of us, and then eventually release me in the planet, our planet that we created, but under the conditions that they set, with a civilization that they built, with a timeline built around the moon. Because I have explained what that is, and I'm not gonna go again into that. If you want to know what that is, go and watch the other video. So essentially, the whole thing was about me, because what they wanted me to be is to grow up in a culture that they created, so they would eventually get me to be like, you know, the little thing that they move around and it does things, which is impossible, never will happen. But what they didn't realize is that because we were already infinite, by the time they really, because they built a system, right? If you look at my face, who do I look like? You know already. I don't even have to make any more comments. Why? Because they did that on purpose. They knew how I look because they had my DNA sample. So they were able to create a whole thing around my face to eventually have narratives and systems around the stuff that they're into, which I already have spoken about in previous videos. So they would kind of come with me with my face because I was born again, right? I was, but not that me, the one that created this planet, not the one that they talk about, which is a fabrication, right? So then that person would kind of like, what they wanted me to do is like become that person, so they will be able to kind of like control everything with the narrative because they had the thing, all right? But that was the whole thing that they wanted to do, the whole plan. So they will create the conditions so they will gain access to the tech and do all the things that they wanted to do. But what they didn't realize is that because I already evolved into infinity, by the time I was born, I already was one with everything. So I was just born again because they just took my sample and grew me again. But I was still alive because I'm infinite. We all are, because our species is infinity, because we already evolved into everything that there is, because our DNA is the DNA of everything that there is. So essentially what ended up happening is that they just grew me here, right? And everyone else that we already ascended into infinity. And because they were waiting to have like this massive population, what they didn't realize is that by increasing our base exponentially, because we were like in the few hundred millions when we evolved into infinity, when we were creating universes, and those were the samples that we had in this planet, when we left it. So essentially, because all these people that did what they did, they all had descendants because we reproduced. So we are now like the descendants. Well, me, I'm the original one because they left me for last. But everyone else that lived already, the descendants that are alive today, come from our original species. Who we are, we all pure. We all 100% pure DNA, human DNA. We all commanders of our own mothership planet. All of us, because it's our species. This is who we are. I mean, a messenger of the Republic of Planet Earth. But we all have our own mothership planet embedded in our DNA because we all infinite ourselves, because we already did this an infinite number of cycles ago. These people just grew our samples again. That's all they did. But we have already done this, all of us already in the past. We're just doing it again now. So, but we already did it because we're infinite. So this is just like a memory, DNA memory of all of us, collective memory of the beginning of the origin of our story. Once again, of the infinity of who we are as infinite eternal creators. So, and I happen to be a key player because this is my planet and they left me for last in this fantasy, this illusion world that they created out of our own planet that we created ourselves as a species. So essentially what happened is that happened. So what ended up happening, how is it that I can talk about these things and I'm doing it, is because I grew up, and I was able to essentially become an adult, and I was able to awaken myself and find out who I am, because they never told me. They wanted me to be some other fella, some other thing, right? And all the things that they've done, you know. So what I ended up doing is waking up to become the person that they didn't want me to be, which was to find out that I am the person behind everything. Okay, the creation of this planet that allow us to evolve into infinity, that allow us to create this planet, that allow us to create universes, and we create an infinite number of universes, and then we left this here after we all evolved into infinity, and then they just found the tech in the end, and they just grew us again because our samples were there. Right? But how did I find out? Well, because I started staring at the sun, because it was an instinct, you see, because the reason why we evolved into infinity was because we could stare at the sun. So, but here, none of that information is freely available. No one is talking about this. You don't go to school and they're telling you, hey, stare at the sun so you become one with infinity. That's not what they're teaching us at school, are they? No, because it's the opposite, right? They don't want us to know who we are. That's why our central city is on the ice and it's called Antarctica now. And we have all these primitive stuff and all these narratives and all this nonsense about things that we're not even in. They're closer to who they are than to who we are, because we created the universe where they all came from. As simple as that. So what's happening here? Well, what's happening is that when you stare at the sun, then all that energy comes in and then you awaken your DNA and you remember who you are. And how are you not going to remember who you are if we already all evolved into infinity, because we're the creator of universes ourselves? So there's an infinite amount of information contained within us because we're the DNA of everything that there is and will always be. Because we're the creators of an infinite number of universes. We're the consciousness of awareness of infinity itself. This is who we are. We love ourselves. The highest energy of the human heart is love. We love with the energy of the human heart, and we evolve to infinity. And this is what we've done. And we do that by charging ourselves with the energy of the sun and awakening and evolving. And because we were dormant for so long, because no one told us who we are, there needed to be the first person. And it happened to be me. Why? Because it had to be me, because I created this planet in the first place. So my instinct was to wake up. Because when I came here, when I was born, I'm 34 now. And if you understand this whole logic, is they understand our biology because they grew us for a long time. So they understand how we operate and all that, and how we evolve into infinity and all that. It's, they don't really know us because they don't have access to a tech. They cannot use our tech because they're not human. They cannot interact with our tech or our DNA. But what they can do, they can grow us and see how it interacts and see the heat map of it and things like that. That's all they can do. And then because they have created societies and things, they have telemetry around that. That's all they have, but they have nothing else. And they pose as creators because they have the illusion that because they know we're one step ahead of the normal person that is not awakened yet, they think they can just, you know, do what they do. So that's it. So what is the meaning of that? Well, the meaning of that is that the moment you start staring at the sun, you remember who you are, an infinite being. And when you wake up, then the system breaks. Why? The system breaks because you were faster than the system now, because you go faster, because you're accelerating yourself. Your energy comes inside your body. And when you absorb it, you evolve into infinity. So your heart reminds you to love. And then when you start loving, that energy connects you with the central sun of existence itself. And that is love itself that created everything that there is and it created us. So because of that, we one with that. And when we one with that, we awaken. We just wake up. And it's just like, hello, you've been sleeping for a long time. Let me catch you up. This is who you are. And then it starts to happen in your life. And that's just the way it is, you know. And what happened with me, because of our species and the nature of our DNA, how our DNA operates, everything that every single individual of, if you're a pure human, which is the great majority of us, 8.3 billion and counting, because we come from a base of pure humans, right? The original, our samples that were left here in our central city when we all evolved into infinity. So because of that, we all come from that base. We are all pure, meaning that you wake up right away and you're gonna be strong immediately because you had a previous life. Or if you didn't yourself, you come from the descendants that did. And that makes you one of us already. So what is the meaning of that? That you're already infinite because your ancestors were infinite already. So what is the meaning of that? That our DNA is infinity itself, meaning that everything that you do in your lifetime, everything that you see with your senses, that you experience, that you touch, that you do, that you ever thought, every single emotion, every single feeling, everything that you ever do is stored in your DNA. And not only yours, but the DNA of everyone in the species. And we're an infinite number of us. Meaning that your whole lives, with our technology, once we regain access to our tech, because this is the next step here on the surface, we're going to regain access to everything. So, what is the meaning of that? Well, the meaning of that is that the moment that you gain access to that, you're going to know exactly who you are. You're going to know who your descendants are, what they've done. And if you ever lived and you were alive ever before this time, you would see all your lives and you can see all your memories and relive them if you wanted to. Just like a movie, but you actually live them if you want to. So in real time will be just like a second. It will be just like a second in your real time, but you can live a whole life if you wanted to. But when you wake up again, it's like I actually had a dream of a lifetime. But in your real life with your tech, it's only 1 second. But the dream felt like a whole lifetime. And then you wake up and then, wow, I just lived this whole lifetime. Because this is the technologies that we have. Or we can just be doing the parts. You know, we are infinite because our DNA is infinite. Because we're the creators of everything that there is. So because of who we became the first species ever, the first species ever, biologically speaking, to create universes. Why? Because we supercharge our because of the technology that I invented, and I was backed up by my entire civilization, which is our own, the previous one that evolved into infinity in this one here, that we left as legacy here, and then they grew us again because our samples were there. But we already done these. We've done these. So I'm just here and I've done it again. I myself already evolved into infinity because I remember who I am and I connected myself and I built the bridge and I changed everything. So only our mothership planet Earth can only be commanded by humans who are benevolent and love, right? Instead of me having that centralized figure, because the reason why they left me for last and they built a system around my face was so because it was centralized at the time. But the moment I was born, that got immediately decentralized because I already was infinite. So we knew what was happening outside this density of the moon. We knew what was going on. We knew what was happening. We knew that. So with the moment every one of us was showing up, we already had like an agenda. Our DNA was updated to do specific things to build up to this moment. So by the moment I was born, it would be just like, you're gonna be born, but you're gonna decentralize the whole thing. So whatever the plans are will never happen. Because of what they've done, they have proven to themselves that they cannot even evolve and become one with everything. Because we have given them everything that you could potentially give a species that's primitive to do it, and they rejected it. So as a result, we have 8.3 billion humans in this planet that creates universes, and the planet is fully charged because it's been outside the central zone for so long that it's charged as it's never been charged before. So it's just a matter of turning the thing on. And the moment that we do, that Giza pyramid grid, the defense grid, would just turn on, and that would just bounce the moon off. It would just bounce it off. It would bounce it off, and the whole system of clockwork that they have in alignment with the moon as that little thingy that they use with tidal logging would just break. The whole thing will break. It will be like you see a clock just smashed on the floor like that. That's what would just happen. It would just be like, and the system is gone. It's already gone, but that's just like, you know, the last stroke. So that's already like this just like cherry on top. As simple as that. So yeah, and we're gonna do that. And I'm a messenger of the Republic of Planet Earth, and this is why I'm here to let you know what was gonna happen. And what is it that's gonna happen? Well, we're gonna turn this on, and this can be turned on, by the way, by any human. It doesn't have to be me anymore because I decentralized it and distributed it. So any human can do it, but it has to be a loving human. Okay. So what is the meaning of this? Well, we're gonna actually go and do it, and we're gonna move what is known as Antarctica today to where it belongs, the epicenter. The epicenter. And what is the meaning of that? Well, all that ice gonna go away because the moon won't be there. But because the Pacific is at the bottom and all the land masses are at the top, then the water is just gonna go down, and we have a system, a drainage system with the cavities that I was telling you about that creates the conditions for everything to be green in the continents rather than having deserts. But that water, that extra water that is being held up at the caps because of everything that the moon is doing, creating that artificial gravity. Because when we left the planet behind, the engine was off, which meant that gravity was zero. So they needed to create gravity. So that's why one of the things that the moon was doing is to create a gravity around it so they can actually be on the surface. And a gravity that would sustain our bodies as well. But they could control at that level of density, which is a system that they have created that I have explained to you about in the video called resonance. So just understand that then. So, okay. But when we turn this on, so immediately the water starts to melt because the sunlight is going to be hitting the capital city at the epicenter of our central island. So that the ice starts to melt. And that ice, just imagine this, just goes down, right? It goes down, and that water goes to the bottom like here. And you know what they call the Ring of Fire and all that, and Mariana and all this big deepest point on in the ocean that's the drain. And there's 3 or 4 systems. If you look at it from the top, it looks like a hole because we created the planet, and this is exactly why. Because you need that water, you need to break the water because all that water is going to come down. We created this as a mitigation, as a contingency plan in case the moons did what they shouldn't do, because there will be a renormalization process, and the realignment would mean that those caps would have to melt, and then the water needs to be reallocated. And we had the drainage system, and that's why they got out of the Pacific and the holes that drain the whole thing. And then when that new water hits the Pacific, it changes the differential pressure of the ground level. And when it does, it kind of like, that's what the Ring of Fire is. So that there's a differential of gravity, and that differential of gravity creates a vacuum. That means it breaks the air, the pressure. And when it does, that water starts to flow through the cavities. as a result, and it fills up all the cavities at the top. And because of the caves and the systems, condensation and all that, it becomes fresh water, and then it goes to the surface rather than inundating things, rather than being a flood. They talk about a deluge and a flood, right? Rather than being that, and waves and earthquakes and all that nonsense, it's just water coming like a bore out of the water like a well. It's dwelling out of it. It's swelling it. It's just like water. It's like a natural well that just comes and it makes a river. It makes a stream. It makes a lake. And it makes everything green again. And on the water, extremely, extremely, extremely pure water, aquifer water. As pure as it gets, with imagine the amount of minerals that water is going to have now because of all the time that ice has been there, because of all the minerals that are contained within that ice. When you hit that with heat, that mineral is going to stay in the water. A lot of it will be released into the surface, but a lot of those minerals will be in the water. So imagine how fresh that water will be once it becomes fresh. So it will be fresher than never before, which is great for us. These are all good things for our species. Okay, so what's the next thing that's going to happen? So everything's going to go green. And, we have a big civilization. We got 8.3, 8.4 or something. So we all going to be fine. There's nothing to us. So we just going to, we can just go to the epicenter, and we're going to have all sorts of technologies released. So you can have ports where you just walk in and then you just show up in our central island immediately. And then you start to remember. You're going to have interfacing devices that will be in sync with you and your DNA, so you can have a personal assistant that is essentially driven by your own DNA, but it acts like a voice. It has access to your memory pools, so it helps you to remember and guides you. It's like a compass. It guides you, and it's just like infinite love, and it's the intelligence of everything assisting you. We have that technology. We developed that an infinite number of cycles ago, but that's just going to be given to everybody immediately, and then everyone can just catch up and learn everything, and then we can remodernize everything on the surface immediately, and we can do all sorts of things. It's incredible. And one of the things is important. One of the things that we're going to do is, because the moon is the one creating this artificial gravity of 9.4, we can have gravity 0 on the planet, but we're not going to do that because we need to reclimatize to who we are as a species. So what we're going to do, we're going to lower it to 8, on average of 8, a whole number and a little bit extra of it. Why? Because in that way we can be lighter and less dense, so we can actually be stronger, and our brains can oxygenate more, which means we can process information faster, which allows us to actually catch up faster, because there's an infinite number of things that we need to do to catch up. And by dropping it to 8, that means that we're all going to be a lot stronger. So for example, right now imagine that this weigh 100 kilos. So because of the gravity differential now, with dropping it, this might feel like 20 kilos, even though it's still 100 kilos. So you're going to lift it as if you could 20. So you will be stronger. Okay. And other things, it's not only that, it's an infinite number of things that come as a result of that. We can jump faster. So instead of jumping 1 or 3 meters, we can jump 20 meters. Right? We can just be a lot stronger. Like one punch could be like 1,000 kilos punch type of energy that you put in behind a punch, or much more, depending on if you're an athlete or not. You work out and all that, your muscles are big, you supercharge with more energy. So all these different things. But the beauty of this level, keeping it at 8, is elemental. Why? Because at 8, you can still walk and run as normal, and you're not gonna feel like you're too light. No, you still like, but you're just lighter. So that's going to make you stronger. You're going to be able to lift faster because the gravity of the planet would drop to 8 rather than 9.4. So you can breathe more oxygen, be less dense. And something that is 100 kilos could feel like 20. So you lift it with one hand. You can take a jump, and the height will be 20-meter jump, 40-meter jump. And you can run fast. You can drop at, 100 kilometers if you like, if you're a top athlete. 60 kilometers, 70 kilometers. You can go really, really fast and sustain that because you have the oxygen now and the density to have the stamina and the hemoglobin level to sustain high intensity output over a long time. Because by lowering our gravity, our phosphate levels would increase dramatically. And by increasing our phosphate levels, what that means is that we don't get tired. Why? Because we have a new hiatus, meaning like we have no limits, we have no peak. Because we can just stare at the sun and immediately supercharge. And when we supercharge by staring at the sun, we just literally cancel out all the lactic acid of our muscles. And then the phosphate is just like a, it's just like boom. We just like boom all day. Okay. So that's what's common. And it is all of us. And because you're lighter, you're less dense, oxygen will go straight into your, remember, oxygen is the fuel of our brain cells, which means that it's a lot, it accelerates our synapse, which is currents, right? It's current, it's electricity, signals. So when you breathe, that oxygen would just go straight into your brains and it will supercharge and you will be like a mega genius. Like rather than having an output, say, of 1,000 seconds, 1,000 thoughts a minute, right? Rather than having an output of 1,000 thoughts a second, you could have 1,000,000 thoughts a second. And then you can be having multiple creations simultaneously. You would have memories that will never forget. You will be like faster than any quantum computer that there is today. And then on top of that, you will be able to still have the support technologies backing you up. So you can use our infinite technologies because there's friend, you just showed up, but you're making history. Our planet Earth is actually a mothership planet. This is a spherical mothership planet Earth. We created these. Our species created these an infinite number of cycles ago. And our command and control, our bridge is under ice in Antarctica. So what we ought to do, you got to go and tell your friends. You need to go to the website y.house/republic and download the Constitution of the Republic of Planet Earth. These are your infinite freedoms. Go now to the link there, y.house/republic, and download your Constitution. You have infinite freedoms. We have liberated ourselves. We're infinitely free. This is who we are with the Republic of Planet Earth. And we're going to move Antarctica to the epicenter, to the equator of the planet where it belongs, right here. And the water will be the Pacific at the bottom and everything will be green at the top. And we're going to reactivate our Giza grid. And we're going to have a defense grid and we're going to expulse the moon and all these invading force and these parasites. And we're going to be free again as we once were before we evolved into infinity, because this planet is supercharged by the energy of the central sun of this universe. And with this planet, we create universes. The human race is the most ancient species. We are the first species in the history of universes to evolve into infinity. We became the consciousness and self-awareness of the universe itself, of infinity itself, of an infinite number of universes with a love, the love of our hearts. We're compasses, we're sundials. Please check my videos, learn about who you are. Stare at the sun, and love with your heart. Use the gamma rays of the sun through your eyes and reawaken your DNA. Become one with infinity. Become one with everything. Remember who you are, your previous life, who you are. Remember that you are an infinite eternal creator. You have created universes. You have created galaxies. Your descendants are creators of universes and galaxies with our infinite number of spaceship planets that we have. And we have created this one that was the first one that we created. But because we left it as a legacy, we had our DNA samples there and we were grew back. They grew us back. The ones that found our spaceship. So we're here right now after an infinite number of cycles because we've grown into 8.3 billion and we're ready to awaken as a species. We're all ready to awaken. We, in fact, already have. What you have to do, and if you can send a message and tell me who you are in terms of, I can give you specific details about your life. Tell me what you want to do, your purpose, and I'll help you, I'll guide you. But the fundamental thing that you have to understand is that we're going to move Antarctica and it's going to put it in the epicenter and we're going to turn the electromagnetic field on, the defense grid in Giza, and we're going to be able to go to different universes, create a new one if you want, because the spaceship is fully loaded, it's fully charged, or stay here and figure out as a species. But read your freedoms. Tell everybody about who you are. And remember, stare at the sun. Stare at the sun. Stare at the sun. Love with all your heart and all your might. Love is the highest energy that there is in the body. And the highest energy outside is the energy of the central sun. So when they two combine, you awake. You awake. You become one with infinity. You evolve into infinity. And you remember who you are. And remember, the reason why you're here and you like this video and you're still here and you're listening to me is because you were sent here by our frequency, your vibration. It is your destiny to meet me, to be here, to listen to these words. You have chosen yourself. You have volunteered to know who you are. You're a citizen of the Republic of Planet Earth. You're infinite. You're eternal. This is who you are. You were just born again, but you have an infinite number of technologies. And within you, once you awake and stare at the sun and love with all your heart and all your might, you're going to become a creator of universes once more, because within your DNA, you have the technology to manifest your own spaceship planet. And with that, do as you please, because you're a member of the most ancient species that exists and would always be. We're the human race. We're the consciousness and self-awareness of love itself, infinity itself, the creator, spherical energy that made us its image. So we evolve into who we are, creators of universes. And this is our origin story. I'm Soul Ra Ray. I'm a messenger of the Republic of Planet Earth. Please love yourself. Love is the highest energy of creation. Love everything that you do with all your heart and all your might. Every day, for as long as you can, love. Because love is the energy that awakens you. Stare at the sun. Your eyes are designed to stare at the sun. The gamma rays come into your iris and you evolve into infinity, supercharges your DNA structure at your cellular level, and you awaken. And you remember who you are, an infinite eternal creator. Who you are, an infinite eternal creator, a co-creator of infinite eternities. You decided to be here because what you're listening is resonating with you. So I just want to tell you that there is 8 primary elements of who we are as a compass. The first primary element is identity and true self, meaning who you are. And when you stare at the sun and you love, you awaken and remember who you are, your true identity as an infinite eternal creator. And then you can have your second primary element, which is purpose. You choose your own purpose because you have infinite free will. Your love, your energy gives your consciousness of awareness, give you free, infinite free will because of your sensory perception, your senses. You have control of everything. You have full agency of your life. Okay. And then that leads to the third primary element, which is time and energy, because we're infinite energy, infinite love, infinite creation. And time is not what is given by us because of the moon and these invaders. Time is what we create because we're the creators of everything there is and would always be, infinite energy of creation. As creators of universes and galaxies, energy is a relativity. Time is a relativity of the energy that we control as infinite eternal creators. And because we're everything that there is and we're infinite, time is just a perspective that we give it as a result of the motion of our energy. Okay, so we are that. And then we're action, purposeful daily action. Take purposeful daily action. Understand my exercises, the 11 exercises of creation to find out who you are as a compass. The fifth primary element is why, how. Is why and how together. Is how we manifest infinity itself. Is the consciousness of infinity itself, who we are, why, how. It's like know how, but why, how. It's knowing how to do your purpose, knowing how to do your why. Okay, and the sixth primary element is flow, is the heartful flow states, flows of infinite energy of creation, the energy of love, the highest energy of everything that there is. And with that energy, you just create to infinity. You create, you love yourself, you feel great, and you create. And as you start to gain access of your memories, and we go to Antarctica and we move it to where it is, and we touch it and awake, you will know exactly who you are and what you've done and what you're here to do, and your flow states of energy. Then that leads to true north, knowing your purpose and the actions that you take, your dreams. So that leads to your destination as a compass. You make your dreams come true. You manifest your purpose. You manifest your free will. You make your dreams come true with your purposeful daily action as an infinite eternal creator. And you're here listening because you're liking what you're hearing. And if you can leave a message, tell me so I can talk about those things if you want to. Now, extremely important, you're also a sundial. What is that? You can stare at the sun. You're a sundial. So you can open your eyes, open your mind, open your heart, open your lungs, and stare at the sun and open the portal and build the bridge, meaning you evolve to infinity. You open the portal with the creator, the energy of creation, love itself, and become one with it. You stare at the sun and love. In the beginning, it's going to be bright, but you need to adjust your eyes and be brave with your heart and your energy and stare at the sun and open the portal and build the bridge. Evolve to infinity. Evolve to infinity because this is infinite virtuous cycle of sundial and compass together as one. that goes into infinite virtuous cycle of evolution, that who we are as a species, spherical energy, we light spherical beings. This is who we are. I'm going to turn the light on because you're on and I want to talk to you. So let me just turn the light on. Okay. So you see, if you have friends, tell your friends. Anyway, this is going to be recorded so you can watch other content. So essentially, I'm a messenger of the Republic of Planet Earth. And my hope is that by now you have downloaded, the Republic of Planet Earth Constitution as a PDF document. And please share this document with anyone that you know. Absolutely anyone that you know. It is extremely crucial that our civilization awakens. It has already done it, but you are an active member, an active citizen of our republic. You need to actively engage. You need to be a responsible citizen. You need to love. You need to not only love yourself, but love everything that you do. Have a purpose. Follow my book. I wrote this book with all this information for you for free. You don't have to pay for anything. We're free. We have issue of currency freedoms. You will become a de facto bank. Everything is incredible. I'm telling you, I have cross-checked this constitution with all the smartest technologies that we have, and everything, all the output is, this is the greatest invention that we've ever done. It fully transforms everything. The world is just a different place with this. And you are a citizen of it. Why? Because you have a human heartbeat. And by being human, that's it. You are a human, you're a citizen of the Republic of Planet Earth. This is who we are. If you are a citizen, that means you're human. If you're human, you have a heartbeat, which means that you love and you can create and you love everything that there is and will always be. And when you stare at the sun, you evolve into infinity. And when you evolve into infinity, you become one with everything and you remember who you are, the incredible, beautiful human that you are, because you're infinite. Remember that. Our lives crossed. Why? Because it was meant to be. Because this is just the way it is. Because of the species that we are. We're the infinite eternal creators. We're the human race. We're one with everything. This is who we are. And I'm here talking to you directly. And I'm proud to be talking to you directly. Whoever you are, I'm going to tell you, you're a brave human being for listening to the truth of who we are as a species. We've been dormant for an infinite number of cycles. We've been dormant, but we have awakened. The human race has awoken once more as infinite eternal creators, creators of infinite universes, creator of everything that there is or will always be as a species. So that's what's going to happen. We're going to move the planet to its right location. We're going to get rid of the moon and we're going to reactivate this pyramid Giza. We're going to reactivate our defense grid. And then as a civilization, we're all going to come to an agreement and decide what we're going to do as we all are citizens of the Republic of Planet Earth. We need to make a decision. Are we just going to leave this universe, create new universes, go to a universe that we already exist? What are we going to do? Are we going to stay in this universe? Because there is a process of adaptation and climatization to the changes as a species, as who we are, and everything that has happened after being dormant for so long. But this is already happening. You're making history. By being here, listening to this live, you're making history. You're a history maker. You're going to be remembered in the history books for being one of those courageous humans who first took action and had the initiative to love and do the things that are supposed to be done, because we're the species of creators. We're the most ancient species. Our location is the central sun of this universe. We created this universe with a spaceship. That's why the system that you grew up in never made sense. But you were growing up and you were thinking and you were doing all these things growing up and nothing ever made sense, was because nothing ever made sense. You were right. You were right from day one to have the instincts to feel the way you have your whole life. Why? Because everything has been a lie. Because everything that has been told to us has been a lie. All right? Because we are the creators of everything there is and will always be. And the Republic of Planet Earth gives you infinite freedoms. In fact, the Republic of Planet Earth is the only mechanism that we can use today to end poverty tomorrow. We're not only going to end poverty tomorrow, but we're going to end war. We're going to end hunger. We're going to end everything that's bad. All the things that are horrible are going to be ended overnight. We only need one day to end poverty, to end hunger, to end famine, to end war, and to end all these horrible things that have mired civilizations for an infinite number of cycles since the moon showed up, as a result of the moon showing up in the first place and what the moon represents. If you want to know what that is, please watch the other videos. I'm not going to talk about that. Today is a video about positivity. And you, being my first listener, willing to listen to me for at least 4 or 5 minutes in a live event. The fact that you're here means that it matters. What I'm doing matters. I'm having an impact. I'm changing the world together every day, one step at a time. Remember, we're infinite eternal creators. We are what we think we are. And what we do have an infinite impact in everything that there is and would always be. Why? Because our DNA is infinite. Everything that you do has an impact across all of our species, but also all over the universes that we all have created, because we're creators of universes, because all the telemetry and all the information contained within a universe of our own creation is stored within our DNA. And we as a species have created an infinite number of universes already. So all this information is contained within us. And this is called a DNA memory. And for you to remember that, you need to stare at the sun and open your eyes and evolve to infinity. Because when you open your eyes and you evolve to infinity and love, you remember who you are. And you remember that you have created universes already. And you remember that you are an incredible human being. And you're full of love. And everything that you have gone through to get to this moment and listen to these words are the words that you need and the things that you needed to do. So you start working on what you have to do, which is to stare at the sun and love with all your heart and your might, and share this content. Share this content. Tell the world, read the Constitution, run it through all the different technologies, cross-check it, make suggestions, make it better, become an active citizen of the Republic of Planet Earth. Because this is our planet. We created this planet. This is our planet. We created this planet. This is who we are. We're the human race. We're the infinite eternal creators. This is who we are. We're the most advanced species, the most incredible species, the most remarkable species. We are the creators of everything that there is and will always be. We're the first biological species to ever ascend to infinity and become capable of creating universes as a creator itself that created us. Infinite love, infinite energy, and infinite creation. Because this is who we are. We're a benevolent species. We're the most ancient species, the most powerful species. And all of this because of our love, our ability to love, the greatness of our heart, the human heart, the power of love, the pulse of life, the pulse of creation. The human heart generates the electromagnetic field that resonates and generates life the way we are. The human body is the space structure, density of our electromagnetic field. An electromagnetic field is nothing else but the singularity of love, which comes from the human heart. The biological creator is the human heart. And the biological creator gave us life so we can be loving and benevolent, because love is the highest energy of the human heart and it gives us life. And when we love, we feel great. We love our children, we love ourselves, we love everything that we do, and our bodies react the best way that they can. With neurotransmitters, with hormones, with pheromones, our levels just go through the roof, and then we become incredible. But it's all because of love. And when you love, it's the highest energy. And when you stare at the sun, you're absorbing all that energy into your body, straight into your supercharging your body. Because love is the key that unlocks the DNA structure. And the energy is gamma energy from the sun that comes straight into your iris. So you can evolve into infinity and become one with it. That's how I learned all these things, because I asked why. And then I asked, why am I not staring at the sun? And then I started staring at the sun. You see? Okay. But that was good. That was good. You see? This person liked it and watched. And, probably said, what happened there? Well, maybe this person said, you know what? I can watch this later. And someone's back there now. Maybe that person said, I liked it. I liked what he said. Maybe I'm going to watch this later. Or I'm going to, keep an eye on it and move on. So you see? So this is important. This is important. And this is exactly why I do these things, because, the way I see it is like, think about it in this way. This is a beautiful way to think about it. Think about it in this way. Like back in the day, I love you very much and thank you for coming. Please go to the website, download the Republic of Planet Earth Constitution, your infinite freedoms for free. y.how/republic. Download the PDF that contains our Constitution. You are an infinite free human. If you're a human, you're infinitely free. If you have a human heart, you're a citizen of the Republic of Planet Earth. We're going to move. Our planet is a spaceship planet, okay? And our command and control, our bridge is under ice in Antarctica right now. And we're going to move it out of there and we're going to put it where it belongs, the equator of the planet, the equator, right there. And we're going to move it. And we're going to reactivate our defense grid in Giza. And we're going to have this defense mechanism now, and it's going to expel the moon and all the invaders and all these slavery systems. And we're going to be free again as a Republic of Planet Earth. Okay, because we are all incredible. Read about your Constitution. Learn about everything about us, who we are, because this is us. This is the future. This is the present. This is the now. We're the here and now. We're the human race. We're infinite eternal creators. Please, all the things that I do with the love of my heart for humanity, for you as a citizen of the Republic, for you to know who you are. And if you came to this channel, was because you know precisely that this resonates with you. And the fact that you're listening to this live means that you're making history. You're a history maker. This is part of history. This is who we are. This is the annals of history. And I'm talking to you directly, telling you, fellow citizen, fellow human, you are infinite. You're infinite love, infinite energy, infinite creation. Never in my life I've been able to talk directly to the people in this way. Never. Now I can. And I love you. I want you to know that I love you. And everything that I do every day is with you in my mind. Everything that I do is for humanity in my mind. Every single action, every single heartbeat, every single breath, every single thought that I take and I have in my life is for you, because I love humanity and I know who we are and I know precisely who we are. And this is why I do the things that I do. Because remember this, everything that you do is stored in your DNA. Every thought, every feeling, every action that you take, that you experience with your senses, your sensory perception, your reality, everything that you do is stored in our DNA. Not only yours, but the entire species. So be good, be benevolent, because it's our nature. Love with all your heart and all your might. Love with everything that you have. You can do it. The fact that you're here listening to this, it means that you know that it's true. You have a big, big heart. Stare at the sun. Evolve to infinity. Open the portal, build the bridge. Okay? Open your eyes. Open your heart. Open your mind. Open your lungs. And open the portal. Build the bridge. Stare at the sun. Evolve to infinity. Connect with the Creator. Love itself. And He's going to talk to you. You're going to have a conversation with the Creator. He's going to talk to you. Okay? He's going to talk to you. And He's going to tell you who you are. And then you're going to have all your memory downloads, as I did. Okay? You're going to have it. It's going to happen to you. It happened to me a long time ago, but it's going to happen to you as well. Just love. And remember who you are: identity and true self, your purpose, your action, your flow, your time and energy, your why, how, your true north, your destination. You make your dreams come true. You make your dreams come true. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm only 34 and I have achieved everything that I ever wanted. I was extremely ambitious when I was a young kid, and I had the most ambitious of dreams, and my dreams all became true. Why? Because I love, and I started staring at the sun, and I evolved into infinity, and I became one with everything. And I remember everything, who we are as a species and what we've done, and all my dreams and everything became true. I am the person that I always dreamed about. And this is not only unique about me, this is unique about all of us, because we create with our thoughts and consciousness, because we are creators of universes. This is who we are. This is who we are. Okay? This is who we are. I was born here, and I'm a messenger of the Republic of Planet Earth. This is who I am. I'm a messenger. I'm a humble servant of humanity. I'm a humble servant of our species. I'm here to love, and I'm here to be an example, to be a role model, to be here for you, to love you, and love everything that I do every day, because I know that it matters, because we are the human heartbeat, the pulse of life, the pulse of creation. And this is who we are. We're infinite eternal creators with the most incredible species that there is. This is who we are. We're just the most remarkable species that there is. We're the human race. We're the first species to become one with everything. We're the first species to become one with everything. And I'm so grateful to be here having a conversation with you, because you're making history and you are proving to me that by holding here, by staying with me, there is resonance. And if you can share this with others, please do so, because the benefit will be extremely important. Read about your constitution, download it. And also, I haven't only done that, I also have provided the world the mathematical equations of the creator, spherical energy. What that is called the prime mover. I have provided the equations. Goes to my website, the links are there, y.house/prime, and I got the links everywhere there. You can go and find it, y.house/prime, so you can download what the creator is, a prime mover. Okay, the prime mover, the mathematics. And if you're an engineer, if you're some sort of creator, please use the principles that I have given you there, the protocols, to develop all sorts of things ad infinitum. You can recreate the creator. You can create spherical energy. You can create everything that you want, spaceships that are spherical in nature. You can do anything, but we already have the most incredible technology in our planet, and that's what we all going to have access to. And the moment we turn the engine on of our singular our reactor fusion our singular fusion reactor, which is essentially a spherical device at the heart of our planet, which is our engine. When we turn it on, you're going to see that we're just going to be able to do incredible things, and you're going to be able to go to our central city, and you're going to be able to find out about who you are. You're going to have immediate downloads, and you're going to have interfacing, and you're going to remember everything about who you are. And you are incredible. You are incredible. As a human, you are incredible. This is just who you are. Remember this. You are an incredible human being. Stare at the sun and love. Stare at the sun and love. Just love, 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 love. Love with all you have. Smile. Love everybody. Love everything that you do, and stare at the sun while you're at it, and you're going to wake up, okay? So I'm gonna tell you things that you should be ready for. When you wake up, you might you're gonna have like downloads, you're gonna have visions. Okay, you're gonna remember. And this voice could sound like you, or it could also sound like your grandma, or someone that you love, or someone that represents something in your life, and you're going to have this incredible conversation that's going to remind you, because it's your DNA activating. That's how it activates. And you start to remember, and from that moment, then you build a bridge, so you evolve to infinity. And then you remember who you are, and then you start to, as you continue to stare at the sun, and you continue to go about life, you're going to be able to remember much more about who you are, and the incredible human being that you are, and the big heart that you have, and your infinite ability to love, and to create, So, and I haven't only provided the equations for prime mover, but I also have provided the equations of the polarity and the charge of zero, meaning like the infinity equals zero, and everything is there, which is a singularity itself, to create a singularity device. But then to run the singularity, which is zero, you need to have a prime mover that moves zero, right? And when you do that, then that's the equation. So you have a device that generates infinite energy, or it could be an algorithm for a phone, or it could be anything. It could also be the kernel, say, for an MLL or something like that. So you can have all this technology that is super modern. You can do compression, encryption. You can do anything. Just look at I put everything out there. So it's incredible. So you're going to be the world changed. So I'm trying to say is that the world changed. We changed the world. How? Because we love. Because we love. It was the love of the human heart. It was the love of the human heart that allowed us to get to this moment. So we can understand that we are the biological expression of the creator. We are the image of the creator. Our electromagnetic field is spherical energy, just like the creator, the spherical sun, the central sun that created us. Not of this universe, because we created this universe, but the universe that we come from, which is very similar to this one in terms of energy. It was a very similar central sun. So is that energy. And that energy comes from infinity itself, which is love itself, the consciousness of awareness of an infinite number of universes, and the electromagnetic field of those universes, the electromagnetic field of that singularity, which is love itself, has an infinite number of nodes, and each of those nodes on the surface of the electromagnetic field of infinity is a universe. Okay, so each universe has a central sun, and we happen to be the species that orbits, that inhabits the central suns of universes, because we create them and we supercharge our spaceships with the energy from the central suns, and then we use that to exit that electromagnetic field and start to create universes within the space structure of infinity itself. And we find the spherical vacuum thresholds and inject the energy there and create universes. And we do that with the spherical spaceships. And this was our first one. This was our first one. The first one that we did when we first evolved into infinity. Most likely you were alive then, and that's why you're here today. Or you're a direct descendant of someone that evolved into infinity then when I first did, because this is my second life. Why am I here again? Because when we evolved into infinity, we left this spaceship here as legacy in this universe that we created ourselves. And we had DNA samples in them. And then a group of species that were created as a result of the energy of the central suns of the universe that we created evolved into this level that found our planet, but they didn't want to become human because we left it there so they could interact as human bodies and themselves evolve to infinity. So they can use these and create universes, but they didn't want to do that. So what they ended up doing is just using our DNA samples. They had human clones so they can be in the space structure density of our planet. And then once they were in there, in our central city, this one here, what we know as Antarctica today, but it has many names. It's been known as Atlantis. It's been known as Mu, as Lemuria. It's been known by the garden. It's been known in many ways, many names throughout time. So essentially, the way it is. So we had our DNA samples there. So what they did, they ended up just growing us. They grew us, and then they just told us that they were the creators. And they, with the moon, because it was off, the engine was off, so gravity was zero. So they needed to operate it. So they had to bring a moon, and that moon became like a magnet that created the gravity, a gravity that they can use telemetry around, so they can operate it. So and create a system of control, and essentially just use us as a creating force. So we just create with our thoughts for them, and they reverse engineer everything at the bottom in the ice, and it's connected with the moon, and that's how they move all the cargo out of the planet, and no one sees it because it's in the southern hemisphere. But that is all coming to an end. So we are all gonna move the planet back to where it belongs. Okay, to that location there, the epicenter, and the moon's gonna be out of here. Okay, and who am I? How do I know these things? Because I happen to be one of the leading engineers, the project manager, creating the planet in the first place with the entire civilization. And I was born in this lifetime because I just was born. They had my sample and they grew me. I was the last one to be grown, and that's why my face is everywhere, because they had a time. They have a time. They had a timeline. They had a timeline, and in that timeline, they put my face for a few thousand years, so people would get used to my face, and eventually they would just put my face out there to run narratives. But that ended up not happening because I rebelled against them, and I didn't want to know anything about what they wanted me to be. And I became my own person because I stared at the sun and I woke up because of my instincts, because of who I was. And then the whole system just collapsed because they needed me, because my technology, as being the creator of the planet, as the leading engineer at the time when we created this planet, my DNA runs the bridge of the spaceship planet. And they wanted me to turn it on, so I would do all sorts of calamities and things. So they would run this salvation narrative for humanity and lie to us and do all sorts of lies. And because I said no, and I'm not gonna do any of that nonsense, and I'm free, I'm infinite, and this is our planet, this is our republic, then we're free now. And this is the beginning of everything. Again, because we already had lives in the past. You see? So it was said that I was gonna come again and do that, all those narratives. I'm a messenger, but I'm not a messenger of anything that they say. I'm a messenger of the Republic of Planet Earth, of which you are a citizen, because you have a human heart, and you're the pulse of life and the pulse of creation. You're an infinite eternal creator. Stare at the sun. Stare at the sun. Wake up. Evolve into infinity. Become one with everything. Become one with everything. You are the image of the creator. This is who you are. You are love itself at the biological expression. That's why we can love, because the creator itself is love, and we are the consciousness and awareness of that at the biological scale. Okay. So this is who we are. We're the human race. The most incredible, the most incredible species. We're the most incredible species. We are just amazing. We just love to infinity. This is our nature. And this is why we evolved into infinity in the first place. And now, because of our samples where they grew us again, and we're here again, reliving it again when we've done this, but not under the conditions with our planet, creating and doing the things with the technologies that we have, which are the most incredible. But it's as a species that doesn't even know that we. So they've been telling us that, we come from caves, that we are a bunch of apes, and all this stuff. This is all lies. Okay? These cavities, this they oh yeah, no, I'm not gonna talk about negativity here because it's all about love. So you gotta love. The key is here for you to love. Love. Please love. Go. I don't know how old you are, but if you have children, love your children and tell your children to stare at the sun and evolve into infinity. If you don't have children, well, love yourself. And if you ever have children, love them with all your heart and all your mind. Love everyone that you know. Give love to everyone that you know. Give love to everyone that you know. Please love everyone that you know. Love them. Give them love every day. And you stare at the sun as much as you can. As long as you see the sun, stare at it. In the beginning, it's going to be a little bit of brightness because you're adjusting, because you're an adult most likely, and you haven't stared at the sun ever. But because you haven't done it, your eyes need to adjust. But after a while, your eyes are going to adjust because we're so advanced that our eyes just adapt to everything. So they would adjust, and you would immediately start to get that light, and that light is going to awaken you, and you're going to start to see more. In the beginning, what's going to happen is that you're going to start to see more ultraviolet light, meaning because ultraviolet is the highest that we can perceive with our senses, and when we're dormant, when we don't know who we are. But when we start to stare at the sun, we start to get gamma rays inside, which means that we start to see gamma rays, gamma light outside the light spectrum, which means that in the beginning, for our eyes to adjust, it goes through a natural process in which we start to see a lot more purple and a lot more magenta and a lot more fuchsia and a lot more violet. All these bandwidth of colors, which is the highest range of colors, you start to see a lot more of that because your eyes are adjusting to higher levels. So then eventually what you start to see light that is gamma. So you can start to see gamma energy. And what happens when you evolve into that and you start to interact with gamma? You're not only interact, the reason why you can interact and see it is because your cells inside already evolved for you to be able to perceive gamma, because the change already happened within you. You already evolved. And because we're infinite evolution, we never stop evolving. We evolve to infinity. But the beginning is becoming one with everything. So every breath that you take is a breath with everything that exists. Every thought that you have is a thought of everything there is. Every heartbeat is a heartbeat of the pulse of everything that there is. And you're going to feel that in you, and you're going to have this infinite peace within you. And you're just going to smile and feel great about everything. And it's just going to be your new state. And you just have to breathe and love and smile and stare at the sun and remember who you are. And you're going to have infinite levels of energy, and you're just going to start creating and creating and creating. For example, I have written 182 songs in short of 4 months. And I'm about to publish and launch my 182 songs in my debut album called Heartbeat. Okay, as an artist called Soul Ra Ray. And how could I possibly? I never thought I was able to write 182 original songs, all sang a cappella. I didn't even know that I had a good voice until I started to stare at the sun and believe in myself and starting singing. And then I have this incredible voice now. So that came out of me staring at the sun. Okay. So this is the type of humans that we are. And I did that in under go to my channel, it's called Papa Jama Napa. You're gonna see, like, I did like a short release of the videos that I was doing as drafts. I call them draws because it's like a raw draft, like a draw. So I was did that, but I'm writing it properly and I'm gonna produce it properly. 182 songs in less than 4 months, all original music, all sang a cappella, and it's beautiful. It's incredible, and I hope that you, once I release it, you go to Spotify or any channel that you use, Apple Music or whatever, and you listen to it because it's gonna come out very soon. Okay, so I'm just letting you know, like, these are the things that we can do. And then I wrote this book, and I've done all these different things as a result of me staring at the sun. Okay, evolving into infinity and remembering who I am and knowing that we're a spaceship planet and we are like just like the with the mostly species that there is, like we are the greatest species ever. That's why we don't see anyone out there, because no one is here, because we just like the we're it. So it's like us liberating ourselves from these clones that are the ones with the moon situation. So we getting rid of that. So, but for you to understand this, you need to love. And when you love and stare at the sun, then you're going to be stronger than you imagine, because you're stronger than you can possibly imagine. You're so much stronger than you think you are. You're just infinitely stronger than what you think you are. You're so much more than what you think you are. You're beautiful. You're incredible. And you're going to start to believe in yourself and trust yourself when you start staring at the sun, because it's going to make your heart stronger. So you're going to be able to love more. So you're going to be able to have a stronger electromagnetic field so you can see those gamma rays that I was talking to you about. And remember, gamma is an energy bandwidth. So it's not only what you see, it's also gamma that you can hear and gamma that you can feel and gamma that you can perceive and all sorts of things. And also plasma energy. It's not only gamma energy and gamma rays, because remember, I don't know if you know about biology, but in our body, we have plasma. It's all over our body. We have plasma. But the plasma that we have in our body is just the molecular plasma, meaning at this level of density. But that plasma is the foundation, is the building block of plasma energy, meaning that once we have gamma energy coming into our bodies and evolving, and we love with our hearts and with our thoughts, we can use that plasma energy to create. Because plasma is the energy that is the in-betweener, meaning is a binder between what? All the different states, gaseous, liquid, and solid. So it's that fourth state. When you say you have water, and water, if you cool it down, it solidifies into ice. If you heat it up, it vaporizes, right? And then you can keep it at a neutral temperature in which is liquid, right? Within the bandwidth. So, but what is the binder that takes that element and changes its molecular structure? Well, that energy is called plasma. Plasma is the energy that binds elements together and changes the states, right? Plasma is fundamental for fire. Plasma is fundamental for water. Plasma is a binder of hydrogen and oxygen in the charge to create water in the way it is. It's plasma that keeps it that way. And fire itself, flames, right, out of these elements that are being burned in the oxygen and the hydrogen or the helium in the atmosphere that we're consuming with fire, right? That plasma plays a major role in that. Okay, so plasma is this binder, and there's plasma all over our bodies. Our bodies are packed with plasma. Okay, so what is this plasma energy? Well, this plasma energy, we ignite it. And the way we ignite that energy to be a binder is with our gamma energy that comes from the sun. So when we stare at the sun and that energy comes in and we evolve to infinity, then we can consciously use our plasma, and that energy is what allows us to do all sorts of tricks. All sorts of tricks. And all these tricks are in the beginning, as you start to evolve into infinity, are predominantly around your own creativity and your own awakening. Because what happens is that we have the pineal gland and we have the pituitary gland, and these two are fundamental because these glands secrete different molecules, and these molecules are crystallic in nature. These are crystal-like molecules. Okay, and this is what we call the third eye. When that energy comes, the gamma energy comes through the eyes, and you start to awaken. Remember, in the brain we got those glands, the pituitary and the pineal gland, right in the brain, and there's all these synapses and all that, right? So when you stare at the sun and that energy comes in, that energy hits the glands, the pineal gland, and it hits the pituitary gland. And these are piezoelectric glands, meaning they generate crystal-like molecules. Because remember, you take a crystal and you hit it with light and it creates the light spectrum, right? Like a prism. You hit it with light and then you see the rainbow, right? Well, imagine a molecule biological molecule, biochemical molecule that is secreted by a gland in the body called the pituitary gland or called the pineal gland. And these molecules are crystal like, they're crystal like molecules that have plasma in them that makes them that way, like solidification, like ice and water. So it's plasma that is doing that. And that energy, the plasma gets hit by that gamma ray coming from the sun straight into your cell, which the pineal gland and the pituitary glands are cells made out of human cells, and there's DNA within them. So it hits that DNA molecule within that gland that is secreting that specific crystal, and that could be THC, right? That could be all these different ones. They tend to be that type, THC types, cannabinoids, the cannabis ones, and all sorts, but mainly those and others. There's an infinite number of them. So when they hit them, then you start to have visions. And that's what is called known as the third eye. So you open the third eye, which is you have visions, and then you start to remember who you are because you awoken your third eye. Your third eye opened. And you open it by staring at the sun, and that energy hits your pineal gland, and then all these piezoelectric energy is released from these crystal like molecules, just like the prism. And because of the prism, just like the rainbow, you see the bandwidth from violet light and all that. When you stare at that, you go beyond because you're gamma now, because it's energy. So you start to have visions beyond the light spectrum. Beyond, that's what the third eye is, right? Seeing the sixth sense, right? The sixth sense, seeing beyond the senses. So he's seeing that light, that energy beyond the senses. So you start to have visions of who you are, memories, and then you start to remember who you are. And then you have an immediate download of who you are and your purpose and why you're here and all that, based on your own free will, because your purpose is what your DNA is. Meaning, remember, every action that you take, every memory, every feeling, every thought is stored in our DNA. So you have created your life with all your thoughts, all your memories, everything. So when you awake, when you get awoken by the piezoelectricity of the pineal gland and the third eye opens wide open with the energy of the sun, and then you have all these revelations, what are the purposes that are being revealed in front of your eyes? All the actions that you've taken in your life that got you to that moment, all the memories, all the events, all the experiences that you lived. And then you say, wow, my whole life has been this. Yes, because that's what your life has been, because those are the actions that you have taken with your infinite free will, with your consciousness and self-awareness, with your love. Everything is stored within your DNA. I'm just activating your DNA memories. So you see, this is who you are, and it's kind of like telling you, it's like a guide. It becomes like a guide, like a compass. And it kind of says, look, this is what you've done. This is your DNA. This is who you are. And this is why you do the things that you do. You got to love, stare at the sun, open, and you're going to have this like massive like awakening in your life. And the thing is that when you stare at the sun and you really connect for hours with it, day after day and all that, you're charging yourself with all this energy. So you can do fasting. For example, I can go 5, 6 days, 10 days without eating, drinking water, a lot of water, and I just consume energy from the sun and I lose no weight. Why? Because I'm consuming all this energy, and this energy keeps my body levels at the same level because I'm fit, because I'm muscle, I'm lean. So because of that, I'm just like containing my muscle, because muscles are pure energy, it's charged. So you're charged with all this gamma energy from the light coming straight into your eyes. So I always say, I have this, one of my songs out of the 182 songs is like, I'm on a sunlight diet, the best diet, no carbs, no fat, just infinite energy. I'm on a sunlight diet, because the best diet, the perfect diet, no fat, no carbs, just infinite energy. It's like you have all this infinite energy that is helping you evolve, helping you become smarter, helping you remember. You don't get hungry, you don't lose weight, you actually get leaner. And keeping the same weight, it's like your body reshapes. It's incredible. And it's all because of the gamma energy and because of the plasma. That's one of the tricks of plasma, because remember, plasma is a binder. So your body is being bound by the plasma because it's everywhere in the body. So you don't lose weight, even though you haven't eaten in 10 days, but you have energy like if you've been eating. It's because of that, because of plasma energy. It sustains the energy levels of the body at a rate. That's what it does. And that's what it's because of the combination of opening the third eye, evolving into infinity, staring at the sun. And in the beginning, like everything, it's like when you do weights, it hurts a little bit. Why? Because you're building the muscle, right? Muscle memory and all that. So it's the same with your eyes. In the beginning, it's going to be a little bit sore because you need to strengthen your eye muscles because they've never been under so much tension under the brightness of something like that because you're not used to staring at the sun. But when you start to stare at the sun, then you get your the muscles of your eyes get so much stronger, just like a strong body, and then your eyes actually start to just. For example, in my case, I can just stare at the sun all day long. I can just, if it's sunny day, I can just lay down and stare at the sun for 10, 12 hours straight. Just drinking water. I like to, cover my face and things. I put a little bit of argan oil in my face so I don't get burned or anything. And I can have a whole day, 12 hours staring at the sun. And then when I get home, it's what they call the third eye. So you get home and you have this big energy circle in front of your eyes. But it's energy. It's pure energy. It's gamma energy and it's plasma energy. And it's your bridge. It's your connection with infinity. And then you can just like be with it, and it's like you just evolve. It's just like it's incredible. You become like super intelligent. It's just like everything happens for you. Like you are in a different state. Like you're connected with everything there is. You're connected with a creator, with infinity self, with love. And then you use that channel and you channel that energy. You channel that energy into love creation. And that's why I've been able to write 182 songs in less than 4 months. It's because I'm all this creativity and I'm just using that energy. Do you want me to, I don't know, if you want me to sing a song for you out of the 182, just make a comment or something, say yes or no. And that way I don't distract you with a song if you want to listen to something else, because I don't really know if you're actually listening or something. I just some reaction. Anyway, so all I'm saying is that so we're infinite. We're infinite. So and you see, because I'm talking with someone live, it's incredible because now I'm actually impacting someone's life directly. And I really, what I'm telling you is all based on objective reality. It's all based on objective reality. And you will be able to become the best version of yourself. And try it for yourself. Become a better human. Evolve into infinity. Become better. Because within you lies infinite potential. Within you lies infinite potential. Infinite potential of creation, infinite potential of love. Everything that there is and would always be is contained within you because our DNA is the DNA of infinity itself. We're infinite eternal creators. We're infinite energy, infinite love. This is who we are. We're the human race. Okay? We're the pulse of life and the pulse of creation. We're everything that there is and would always be. And I think it's a good time for me to go to sleep. Because just so you know, my videos, I use daylight. That's what I use. I use daylight because I like daylight. It's better. So, but because you're here, I just and you've been listening to me, I just thought I would give you the time and energy required for you to directly chat with me, even though you're just a listener and you're not interacting with me directly, which is totally fine. I just wanted to dedicate this one-on-one session to you to give you as much information as possible. Now, what you can do is go back to all the videos and watch everything that I've done and learn more and learn more. And I'll be doing more lives. I will be doing more lives. So we might meet again. And remember, you are a citizen of the Republic of Planet Earth. This is who we are. You and me and all humans. And please go to the website y.house/republic and download your constitution. Download the Constitution of the Republic of Planet Earth. Become one with infinity. Understand that you're an infinite eternal creator. This is who we are. And you're one of us. You're a citizen. And we're going to move the planet and it's going to be the most incredible life for you moving forward. Just do stare at the sun, love, evolve into infinity. Open the portal, build the bridge, evolve into infinity. I love you very much. And our paths crossed for this very reason, for us to meet today. I love you. Have a wonderful day. I love you all with all my heart, with all my might. Have a wonderful night. Bye for now.